Hi, everyone, and hello, Mashria. Today, it's Wednesday, 12:15. We're going to talk about Uniswap. That's right, right?
That is right. The decentralized exchanges.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's see. We read a little of material together that you put together, and I've broken it down into sections. So hopefully we can kind of tackle these in a straightforward way. But let's jump right in. So if we talk about Uniswap, it's essentially a decentralized exchange where we can kind of like foreign exchange trading, where we can couple currencies, we can couple cryptocurrencies, mint an LP, and then go off and do some more things. But I think essentially the two main points that you have at the top of what you wrote is that it provides greater liquidity and automatic market makers like smart contracts. So how about for a little introduction, and then we'll kind of break down version 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you so much, Nick, and thank you so much, everybody, for being here and listening to us. Remember, we are talking about decentralized finance for global health. Decentralized finance is on blockchain, so it's blockchain for global health. In this series, we call WBB. And so today we focus on the first component of decentralized finance, or the first component of DeFi, which is the decentralized exchanges. And to speak very well, to explain very well about decentralized exchanges, there's no better explanation than addressing Uniswap and what Uniswap has done. Uniswap was created following a following sequence of decentralized exchanges. There were initially we had decentralized exchanges that enabled people to swap to exchange their currency, but they were using order book, where market makers, these are deep-pocketed individuals, could buy the order book and guarantee that the exchanges are going to happen. And that was a problem because order book system is kind of an idea that is borrowed from the old system of centralized exchanges. And so these people who guarantee that transactions are going to happen, they put their money up front, and then they make sure that the transaction will take place. And they're known as market makers. So come Brian Adams of Uniswap said, we need to decentralize even the market makers themselves. Why don't we create an algorithm for creating automatic market makers? And so Uniswap is the first exchange in the world that has automatic market makers. Automatic market makers means that anyone in the world can participate as a market maker, rather than just waiting for the very rich people to guarantee the transactions. So if we pull money from individuals from the entire planet, that is sufficient money to create what's known as liquidity to ensure that transactions are going to get through. Now, how was that going to happen? The initial version, the first version of Uniswap, which came around 2018, had it that you would need Ethereum and pair that Ethereum with another token. And when you pair that Ethereum with another token, then
can we actually, I think you're getting, in what you said to me, that moves into V2. So can I ask a couple questions about V1?
That's the version V1, that's what I'm talking about.
V1, okay.
You have Ethereum, and then you pair it with an,
yes, okay,
tokens like USDT, stable coins. And then that was very limited, because if I wanted to exchange our UBRI coin, UBN, with USDT, I first of all had to convert the UBN to Ethereum, and then convert the UBN, the Ethereum to USDT. So it was a two-step process and consuming a lot of gas, and of course, that is not good for investment. So it was an expensive procedure that you needed to go through ETH. Everybody had to go through ETH to get the other coin they want. So it was two steps. And now some version 2 that enabled people to pair token by token without having to use Ethereum, to have Ethereum in the middle. So you could pair UBN, UBRI coin, with USDT directly, or UBN with Bitcoin or WBC, the wrapped Bitcoin, or UBN with any other token that you can imagine in the world. And so that opened, just all of a sudden, opened access to possibility of creating liquidity. And all of a sudden, the amount of liquidity that happened in Uniswap was staggering, because I think it went from about $1 million to $150 million, you know, even almost bypassing the traditional exchanges that we have in the market.
And you put 150 million probably in about May 2020, and then you said it jumped to 300 million later that same year.
Yes, that is the effect of the V2. It was exceedingly powerful, and that is when we started creating liquidity pairs with Ubricoin to create liquidity pools. And I think it's very important that we explain how the liquidity pairs works in the liquidity pools. So Uniswap allows you to take a token like UBN and another token like USDT, and then combine them together, and then throw them into the pool. I would say use the word throw. When you put them in the liquidity pool, Uniswap mints a new token known as an LP token or liquidity pair token. That liquidity pair token is like a certificate of ownership of the money so the money that you have put into Uniswap gets represented in your own wallet as an LP token. And now what's the beauty of it? That is in V2. You could take now that LP token and go somewhere else in another exchange and then use it for trading or even getting value or borrowing money that you can use, because it has the same value as the pair that you put in Uniswap in the beginning. And now version 3 came around because version 2 had one big issue, that you could not actually concentrate your liquidity, and if the price went too low, you could lose a lot of money in what's called slippage. And if you withdraw the money, then you go into permanent loss. So you would lose a lot of value in that process. And so again, the Uniswap team guys thought about how do we help people so that they do not lose money in this this very huge, you could say, value system, which is 0 to infinity. That if what you do then is you lock down the value in a certain rate. You say that my tokens will only exchange if the price goes up to this level, and you do not exchange it if it goes below this level. That is a range, a concentrated range in version 3 of Uniswap right now. And that means that because the range is concentrated, I'll give you an example. If you have a coin, say like Ethereum, and Ethereum is going for 2,500, and you don't want your Ethereum to be swapped or exchanged if the price goes to less than 2,500, you can now instruct Uniswap not to sell the Ethereum at any price below $2,500. And then you can actually put the upper limit. You say that if it goes to 4,000, also don't do any transactions. So you create a small window of transaction, and the narrower the window, the more likelihood that you're not going to lose money in what you would call slippage. Slippage is when the price goes down in the general market, and then your coins also lose value in the same market, and then people try to exchange them at that very low value. So it means that because you have locked in that small window, the people cannot actually take your coins at a low price. That's the genius of version 3, V3 of Uniswap, and that's very good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I think I was going for an introduction to Uniswap generally, but thank you for going over all 3 versions there. Let's bring it back, if we can, to the beginning.
Yeah.
Back to V1, and let's just kind of hit a couple key points. You said in what you wrote that it was built on the Ethereum mainnet. I'd like a little explanation about what the mainnet is, just for, a lot of people probably aren't aware of that. You talked about how it fixes order books and lack of liquidity, but you did mention how lack of liquidity was a specific example in Ether Delta. So let's add Ether Delta to our response point here. So the mainnet, Ether Delta, and then at this point, you said it had garnered $30,000 in investment. So can you talk about those 3 points quickly?
Yeah. So Ethereum mainnet is, of course, the protocol. The protocol on which Ethereum is built is known as Ethereum mainnet. You see, we have Bitcoin mainnet, which is on the Bitcoin protocol. We have we have what we have other like Cardano, which is on Cardano protocol. So they are known as mainnet. And so Uniswap does not have a protocol of its own. It is built on Ethereum mainnet, just like our Ubricoin UBN is built on Ethereum mainnet. So it is an ERC20 token. So Uniswap is one of those decentralized applications that are on Ethereum mainnet. And I think that answered the first question. Second question is about Ether Delta. Ether Delta was using the same technology of liquidity. You could call market makers that come from the old, exchanges. Even like in the stock exchanges like Nasdaq, we have liquidity providers. These are people who guarantee the liquidity of the exchange itself, such that when people exchange shares or the exchange coins, the transaction actually goes through because it's guaranteed by some people. What these people do is to say that I will make sure there's enough money to pay for any transaction that's happening. That is what is known as an order book. So they guarantee that money by looking at the order book itself. And then they say, we are going to splash money into this order book so that the order book is liquid. That's called the liquidity of the order book. And so that system has been used for almost maybe a century in the exchanges to make sure that there's somebody standing behind there making sure the exchange is liquid, doesn't get broke, and then it stops. It's like putting petroleum in your vehicle. You put fuel in your car so that you make sure the car does not stop moving. And so the liquidity providers provide that liquidity, which is cash, to make sure that the exchange continues to work. Now, at one point, even Ether Delta had problems because it could not attract sufficient liquidity, because although it's a decentralized exchange, it is working as a centralized exchange from the liquidity perspective or from the market maker's perspective. And so that is why Brian Adams said, this is a problem. Why are we waiting for the rich people to come and give us blessing? Why don't we let everybody in the world participate in blessing themselves? See? And so that's automatic marketing. We create an algorithm. Instead of waiting for human beings to decide when the liquidity is needed, we create an algorithm that can help people put the liquidity together automatically, and that's automatic market making. And that's how the V1 came about in 2018. Yeah, total genius. And so when you say there was $30,000 liquidity, what they did was take USDT and then Ethereum. You see, Brian Adams got a grant from Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, of $100,000. So out of some of that money, they used it to put liquidity, the initial liquidity, on the Uniswap, and so that means providing the initial liquidity just meant getting a certain amount of ETH and pairing that ETH with USDT. You see, so they create the liquidity pairs, and those liquidity pairs now had LP tokens minted out, and those LP tokens were worth $30,000. And then, lo and behold, next thing you knew, that everybody was, creating liquidity pools. That was between USDT and ETH. And if they wanted another pool like Bitcoin, they have to go through ETH. That is version 1 until it's version 2. Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. And then, I mean, from $30,000 in value to 300 million is quite the jump. So I think adoption seems powerful there. Yeah. And you already talked about how in V2, and I think perhaps I might have misread a couple of things in your document, because I think what I've listed here for V1, V2, and V3 might differ slightly from what you listed them as, but essentially all these things took place, so it doesn't matter which one it happened with. But we already talked about the direct conversion now in V2, where you don't need Ethereum. You talked about how it protects against impermanent loss. it's just an odd phrase. Haven't heard that before, a discussion now. So if you want to just quickly refresh one more time and maybe a different way, what is impermanent loss? And then you also talked about on-chain price feeds and flash swaps. And the way I think of that is on-chain price feeds would just be like you look at the NASDAQ or any kind of current market exchange, right, for stocks, and we can see the prices of our stocks. I imagine that's what you mean by on-chain price feeds, right?
So first of all, let's go to the impermanent loss. Impermanent loss, particularly was, V2 was very susceptible to impermanent loss because there was no limit order. There's no limit to the price of your coin. So, for example, if you bought Ethereum at the price of $2,500, and then the price of Ethereum went down to $1,000, another person will come and get your Ethereum or swap your Ethereum at that low price at $1,000. So you've made a loss, but that loss is not permanent because the price of Ethereum could rise again in the market. So the fact that people have swapped out your coin, your ETH, at a very low price, and they have dumped on you the coin that you have paired with Ethereum. That means, say, for example, if you had paired Ethereum with, say, a UBRI coin, and the price of UBN went down, then somebody can actually come and exchange their UBNs with Ethereum, and the price goes down. And you see, there was no limit. It was, the price is infinity. It can come from zero. Price can go down from zero, or can go down to zero, or it can go up to as high as possible. And so that is impermanent loss. The way we call it impermanent is because the price in the market will recover sometimes in the future. So you can get your coins back when the price recovers. And by the price recovering means that people are going to start buying back, they say the UBN, so that the UBRI coin price begins to go up. So if you have had experienced impermanent loss because of people dumping UBN, people, when they're buying UBN back, that UBN is going to be paired again with ETH, and then the price comes back to where it was before, or even better.
Gotcha.
The reason impermanent loss is because the ratio, when you put the liquidity pairs, the ratio was 1-to-1 for the dollar. Like if I put UBN of $1,000, then I have to put in Ethereum worth $1,000 in that particular pair to make a liquidity pair, an LP token. Yeah. And so the LP tokens experience impermanent loss, but V3 was created to solve that problem. Okay. Yeah.
And quickly, the on-chain price fees, is that literally just the prices, kind of like a ledger of prices?
Yeah, because on chain, there are fees that happens when, transaction fees, which are on chain. And you see what, to on chain, say, for example, and of course you have seen just the normal transaction fees, that we call that those on chain fees.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I misread it. I thought it was feeds, like a feed, like a news feed. Okay, on-chain price fee. Got you.
Yes, and there was the other question. The third question. Sorry.
Say again.
I say, what was the third question?
It was about that, but I think I misread it. So, but there's a different one here. That in V2 there was $1 billion worth of Uniswap tokens given out to various groups. So if the market cap jumped to 300 million,
yeah. You see,
when how was 1 billion allocated if the market cap was at 300 million?
What happened to Uniswap when they started Uniswap? They did not have their own token of they don't have a token of their own. So in V2, I think it came a time when they said, let's create a token known as Uni. And everybody who was having an account in Uniswap was given, how many? I think they were giving them 3,000 tokens. I forget the number. And these tokens, they actually had to give them because these people have been supporting Uniswap, and they also wanted to create those tokens for governance. So we create governance tokens known as Uni tokens, so they can allow people to vote. The other, the people in the market who didn't have Uni, who did not have those, they started buying them. They started at $3 per Uni, but the price multiplied rapidly to, I think, about $8. And so because they initially had allocated each person about 3,000 coins, then the price went up so fast that, maybe I'm forgetting the numbers now. The price went up so fast that just within 1 month, the demand for that Uni token became so high, and that's why the value multiplied so quickly. First of all, it multiplied by about 8 times, and then it multiplied even further. I don't know the price today for Uniswap, the Uni token itself, but it got a very, very high demand, and that's how the price, even if so, the liquidity they were holding, even if it's also only worth 300 million, value of the token itself, the Uni token, which is now separate to the liquidity, went up very high to almost $1 billion. Yeah. Okay,
understood. And I did look at, right before we hopped on here, I didn't look at the price of an individual Uniswap coin, but the market cap for Uniswap is 4.4 billion today.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes. That's awesome.
It's very incredible. So how about here now in V3, we have it's providing a higher return on investment, and I'm just kind of guessing that that's because it's become more efficient. Enhanced straight execution. What is straight execution again?
Yeah, see, executions of a swap. For example, if I want to change my coins, the coins I'm holding, like ETH to another coin, then the execution becomes much easier, and of course reduces gas fees, because now because we have limit order, the exchange does not have to look into all the entire spectrum, but just concentrates on just what you're selling. And you can say that creates market efficiency, because your money becomes more efficient, and it's actually able to get more return on investment, because you have locked out anything that is selling below the price you want, you're not going to sell. That's efficiency. And of course, that also enhances the execution, because the exchange does not have to go looking into the entire network to complete the transactions. And then, of course, the other thing is just because now we have direct swapping between coin and coin without going through ETH, it reduces the gas fee tremendously. So all those things straight, you could say they are ways of increasing efficiency and increasing the return on investment to the person participating in the pool, or the liquidity pool makers. Okay. Yeah.
Can we bring it back to big picture here? Like globally, in relation to crypto versus the traditional stock market, with something that I know you say this now has the ability to be at parity with or to surpass centralized exchanges, whether those be on blockchain or not on blockchain. What does the future look like for
totally, the future is totally amazing. And what happened, and what actually even surprised me, is that when Uniswap came, in the beginning, before Uniswap, you had to pay a lot of money to get listed by an exchange, whether it's a cryptocurrency exchange. Now, if you want these shares in NASDAQ, you have to shell out about $4 million to get your company shares listed by NASDAQ. And of course, you go through so much government regulation. So the process is almost unsurmountable. And if you look at the history of listing of companies over the last maybe 10 years, you will find that maybe only 2 or 3 companies have gone public in the US market. You see? So the market is exceedingly punishing and exclusionary in the stock exchange. But then we create decentralized exchanges like Coinbase, Binance. They also come with listing fees, and they start developing some ideas that excluding a lot of people from listing their coins or even accessing the Coinbase itself, or say for accessing it directly. For example, now people in the third world, where they come from in Africa, they don't have that easy access to these exchanges, and that becomes a problem. That so it still means that there is another step. But come Uniswap is accessible to everybody on the planet because it's on Ethereum network, and Ethereum is on everybody's smartphone. And Uniswap, it doesn't have its own application or the decentralized app, but it has an interface that appears in every wallet in the world. Every wallet that supports Ethereum has got Uniswap in it as a Uniswap interface. And what surprised me is that now you can exchange your coins, you can swap your coins from within your wallet on any cell phone in this planet. That to me is just absolute staggering, because it means that 7 billion people, without counting the children, of course, you can say 6 billion, women, even maybe 3 billion people have access to market. But the traditional markets, say like the stock exchange, is totally inaccessible to people outside the developed countries, which is only maybe 300 million people. The other centralized exchange, you could say centralized crypto exchanges like Coinbase also have limited accessibility. But when you come to Uniswap, it is accessible to anyone, everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that is the power of it. So, and you can see that rapid growth of Uniswap in terms of the volume of transactions happening very soon bypassed NASDAQ. You can imagine, NASDAQ has been going on since 1972. Uniswap has been going on for only 3 years, and actually it now handles as much trade as you would see in a centralized exchange like that, or in a traditional exchange. That is the power of decentralization.
Yeah. What about the Uniswap story do you feel like applies to the Ubercoin story? With the massive success seen by Uniswap, do you think the Ubercoin will follow a similar trajectory? I get that it's not an exchange, right? It's more of an app. So there's the decentralized exchange, there's Ethereum, there's Uniswap, and then there's Ubercoin. I feel like Ubercoin is a little bit different than Uniswap. Uniswap is more of a utility playground for exchanging currencies, where Ubercoin is one of the currencies that may be exchanged. So given that difference, can the Ubercoin have a vertical ascent like that, a rapid vertical ascent?
Yes, but we still have quite some bit of work to do. But it also has a market like that, because Ubercoin is built to address the question of global health, and global health is a huge issue, particularly in African continent, because Africa carries 93% of the global burden of disease. And so finding out a way, a solution to use it is a utility token to address the global health issue, which is lack of access to health services, which means lack of access to market. And we have discussed these issues before, so I don't want to go into details of it right now, but it will have similar trajectory, because it addresses a problem that, just like Uniswap came and solved the problem of marketing, market making, and you could say liquidity, creating liquidity to help people exchange value. And now Ubercoin, we have created it to help people exchange the actual value they're producing on the ground. That means that being able to sell the things they produce on the ground by themselves. that's what we are working on. Of course, he said that the solution to that is helping people access to market where they can sell their products and produce. That is increasing selling power through an online market and enabling them to get their transactions, get through their transactions settled, because the traditional payment networks have excluded the people in the third world and African villages from using their payment gateways. So, and so that population is very, very huge. And also to serve as a payment gateway for the you could say transportation of the goods once they are sold. And so we have 3 systems to address that. We are building the online market itself and the transportation network, which is we call delivery system together. And we are integrating Ubricon into the payment network, the payment system, or you could say payment gateways into those two particular system for helping local people increase their selling power, because we say selling power increases buying power, and selling power puts money in their pockets. When they have money in their pockets, they have access to health. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we are 12:47. We're just over our 12:45 minute mark, so we'll wrap up there. But I'll just say, like I said before, I really admire talking to people who don't look at the world for what it may seem to be, but that break down the world into its primary, essential, fundamental components. And then imagine how those components can be fit together in a new way to really innovate and just move humanity forward. And I see that quality in you. So thank you for spending some time with me and sharing your perspective.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, and have a wonderful afternoon. And I appreciate this time spent together and address these issues.
Awesome. Thank you.